After a lot of really cold weather, it's time to take a look at some different species and see how well they handled the cold. The first one we have here is the Himalayan blue pine, a really small seedling selection, Pionus wallichiana, and it looks great. So I would say there are no concerns about cold hardiness for Himalayan blue pine in Tennessee. Here's slash pine, Pinus eliadii, normally grows in southern Georgia, northern Florida, southern Alabama, much further south. But even though the temperature got down to almost single digits, there's hardly a brown needle anywhere on it. So I don't think there are any concerns about cold hardiness for slash pine in Tennessee. Here's a tree that I look at a lot. It's the Chinese fir. I'm sure you've seen my other videos about it. Cunninghamia lanceolata. And you can see, especially on this branch here, we've got some pretty severe frost damage on the tips. But the main leader appears to be okay. A little bronzing, but probably okay. Here's another look at a different Cunninghamia lanceolata. A little bronzing, but to me, it looks okay. It doesn't look like it's taken major damage. Once again, Chinese fir. Okay, this one was a little optimistic to begin with anyway. Araucaria angustifolia. That's Brazilian Parana Pine. And the bottom down here that was probably protected by snow is okay, but the top that was exposed to the coldest temperatures looks pretty bad, almost dead. So I'm going to wait a little while longer, but it's looking like Araucaria cannot survive here. It is kind of a tropical species usually, although this was supposed to be the most cold hardy, but I don't think it's worth trying based on this. Here we have Keteleeria davidiana, another southern species of conifer from southern China. And this one looks like it got pretty bad frost damage. And I don't think we've really had the coldest temperatures of the winter yet, so I'm obviously going to leave it in the ground all winter and see how it does, but at this point it's not looking too good. I may even leave it all summer long to see if it can recover, and maybe it just didn't have time to adapt after I planted it. But the early indicators are that Keteleeria davidiana has problems, but this is more of a long-term project here to see what it can really do. It is a cool tree though. It has a pretty tropical look to it, which may turn out to be a bad thing depending on how cold this winter is. Potocarpus macrophyllus. See if I can keep it from blowing in the wind. Also, usually a warmer weather tree. It looks like it's got a little bit of frost damage on the youngest growth, but most of the growth held up pretty well. It did get flattened a lot by the snow because it's multi-stemmed right now. I'm probably going to trim away the rest of the Potocarpus stems to have a single trunk and stake it up to make it more stable. But so far, I gotta say I'm impressed. It's taken less damage than I thought it would. It's in a fairly protected planting area. I've got Arizona cypress on either side of it and Leland cypress behind it. So it's kind of protected from the worst cold winds, but I'm still impressed with its performance. And the last tree worth taking a look at in terms of cold hardiness is the Pionus glabra, spruce pine. And the needles are a little yellow, but they were like that long before the cold weather really hit them. I think it's kind of like the Virginia pine, I think, that turns a little yellow in the winter. But I don't see any real damage to this tree. Still looks good. So I think spruce pine can also do just fine in Tennessee weather.